Yeah, I've
Yeah.
called this the golden age of fraud, and I teach a course on the history of financial market fraud, and one of the themes of the course is that the fraud cycle um, is a lag of the financial and business cycle. That the longer the business and financial cycle goes on, the more people's sense of disbelief erodes, and they begin to believe things that are too good to be true. I think and when the bubbles burst, that's when basically, since most frauds need new capital, they're generally variations of Ponzi schemes. When people ask for their money back, that's when the fraudulent business models come to light. I've joked that the best defense attorney and the harshest prosecutor for these types of frauds is stock prices. When everything's going up, there's no incentive, no complaints, except for maybe some short sellers who are sitting there throwing stones. But generally, there's no political will to go after corporate wrongdoing, and it isn't until the public starts losing money in a big way that the mood changes. And since a lot of these types of prosecutions end up being political, when the public starts losing money, and institutions start, saying, "Why do we own this? What's this accounting again?" That's when you tend to see the regulators and lawmakers and law enforcement begin to get active, and I think this cycle will be no different.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Extra Extra, coming to you live on the day before the 4th, where we're going to be doing some silly things here, talking about some silly stuff because we won't be having a show on Saturday because of the 4th. Well, I mean, we won't be doing Truth Be Told. I may, drop in and do like a gaming live stream like we did last 4th of July. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. For right now, though, tonight's live stream is, as the title suggested, about total hypocrisy. Uh, I said I was going to smash this one over. I don't know if you guys know that Chancery Daly ran off to Blue Sky, and she presented this to me, and this I do truly believe is the most ultimate of legal memes. This was an actual exhibit presented in front of the Delaware Supreme Court, and it is mm, perfect, absolutely perfect in every single way. Don't let anyone tell you that you're wrong about that. Use it, please use it freely. I hope everyone uses it because I think it's awesome, and we should really get things going. The big thing from this week, well, this wasn't from this week, this was from a couple of weeks ago, that after Bill got put on as the Department of National Intelligence, or the Director of National Intelligence, and basically started doing Trump's dirty work, firing people. In the meantime, some messes were being cleaned up that Bill helped start, namely Trump v. Cook. We finally got a ruling on that. I don't know why it took so long when, I mean, it was pretty obvious what the decision should have been here. Um, we did learn something new. We learned that 3 justices of the Supreme Court, English is not their first language. Good to know. Good to know. But the ruling out of Cook was basically that Cook could stay on. That the court has the ability to place stays pending the merits on the matter. But they didn't have the same thing to say about slaughter, which is why the Supreme Court is getting my total hypocrisy meme slapped all over it. Because on one hand, on Cook, the Supreme Court basically said that yeah, the stay has to stay in place. You can't just the president can't just unilaterally fire someone for no reason, without cause. And they didn't say so much on the merits. They left the merits for the lower court. But I mean, the only way you would do this is if you pretty much figure that Trump's going to lose on the merits. And I mean, given how Bill Pulte's other referrals went, and how they went nowhere, and that they were, pretextual, the court ruled. Well, the court didn't rule on that. They ruled that that prosecutor bringing them couldn't bring them because they weren't lawfully appointed to be a sitting district attorney. But you know, small victories. Even then, we probably get to the meat of the matter, and it probably would have been rejected on it being, malicious prosecution. And we've already gotten pretty much a good idea on what the facts of the case are. That has not stopped anybody, though. But before we get to that, the problem is trying to square what was said in that case with Slaughter, which I know is getting off of our usual grifter talk. But how can you say in Cook that there is a long-standing tradition of, the Federal Reserve being able to being the board members being immune from just unilateral firing by the executive, and then in Slaughter go out and say, actually the president can fire anybody he wants as part of the executive branch. It just smacks wholly of motivated reasoning from the Supreme Court, and basically lines up for the fact that they don't want Donald Trump messing around with the Federal Reserve and ruining their pension funds, or the pension funds of their friends. So, yeah, 5-4 on can the president literally fabricate charges against a bureaucrat he doesn't like. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened there. So the times we live in are bleak, bleak on so many levels. Bill, however, is not done with this. He says that he's going to keep going at this. I don't see it going very far in any particular direction with this one, because we have most of the merits things that the bank didn't think they were defrauded. There was no actual intent to defraud or to deceive. She produced a lot of the records that we know about after the fact, and there does not seem to be anything for them to stand on as far as as far as the case goes. And since they decided to deny Lisa Cook a hearing and all that you have to do when you have to present with cause, the with cause standard, they basically have now made it to where the court's going to adjudicate it. Like the previous ruling before is there was no set out method for deciding how to fire someone with cause. You just had to give them a hearing and a chance to respond, and that could have been informal. But now that we're in front of a court, they've painted themselves into a fucking corner to where now the DC circuit, which I don't think is particularly favorable to Trump, is going to be adjudicating the merits on Lisa Cook because you went and fucking cocked everything up. Bravo. Job well done. Like, the one thing that is saving us from this administration's evil is its own fucking incompetence. It's again, it's a very sad world we live in right now, but tiny victories, I guess, tiny victories are better than no victories at all. I don't know if I really want to bring that up because that one's been pretty much settled and dealt with. We're going to play a game of back and forth. Serious topic 1 out of the way. Let's move on to meme stock, and we'll just keep going back and forth and back and forth. Yeah, Ryan Cohen did another interview in his long list of podcast interviews. This one was with another eBay seller, Raleigh Roots, which I'm not aware of, but apparently 265,000 people are aware of. So, not a small YouTube channel. I think it's even bigger than the last one he was on, as far as I don't recall how many the other eBay reseller that he was channel he was on. And this, of course, is after the interview that he did with the All Tardy podcast. Oh, I'm sorry, the All In podcast, where he basically rehashed for the most part everything he's already said. The only new thing he talked about was the idea of having video in-game collectibles be sellable on their platform, which is something, I mean, he could do with GameStop right now. There literally nothing is preventing him from doing that independently, like right the fuck now on GameStop's current platform. Even if he did do it, it would be really tricky because most of these online games already have an online marketplace. So why would you go to some third party marketplace when you could just sell it direct? I don't know. It's an interesting concept, but he didn't do much to flesh out how he would do it. He just suggested it's a thing he would do, which I'm real skeptical of because it's a thing he could do right now, but he hasn't. On top of that, we still have not gotten any news about, about actually getting this deal done. So, if you recall from last week, there was the whole withdrawal of the performance award and said that additional materials regarding the proposed acquisition of eBay this week was changed to in the coming days. It really depended which of the press releases from eBay you read, which should really tell you all you need to know about how serious and how well thought out or planned this fucking deal is, which to say it isn't in any way well thought out or planned. So that day has come and passed. It's been a week now. Let's see, like the 23rd would have been what? So yeah, that would have been a week ago yesterday. The coming week. Yeah, there was no plural there. Singular week. So, like, again, Ryan Cohn would do a really great job of shutting up his critics like me if he'd simply just produce a plan. Like, simply just show what he's going to do. Simply put forward a deal that would actually be plausible. And it's not like I haven't spoken of some of the ideas. Like if you want to buy out eBay at this point because they don't want you and your handpicked board that has very high governance issues to be a problem, because even if there's a buyout, since you're buying currently, the current only deal we know about is half cash, half shares, which means shareholders are going to be transferred into the new company, current eBay shareholders. So Ryan Cohen, his deal has to be analyzed from a fiduciary duty standpoint of the current eBay board of directors and its current management. And given the corporate governance issues at GameStop, only getting rid of the performance deal once they were sued over it, and not even sued over its efficacy. Then we haven't seen. Why does it say I disconnected? SpaghettiOs. We're already having issues. This is why I stream at night, because streaming during peak hours, especially on a holiday, is no bueno. No bueno. Well, it looks like everything reconnected now, so hopefully people come back and we're still good. Let's see here. Does it say we're still live on YouTube? Come on. Yeah. Okay. So it's probably a problem though on the Twitch and Restream side though, probably. Well, hopefully we can keep things together here. That sucked. That'll probably continue to suck. Anyway, so yeah, this whole situation is a pretty big no bueno. And of course you got the stupid bed bath stuff. X Market lies, talking about the Teddy website, which Like the hosting was dropped, which seems like anyone could buy it or it was repurposed. Right now, everyone's talking about how it redirects to GameStop as if that's some big thing, and that means Teddy's going to be a holding company for I don't know who the fuck knows. Um, but yeah, that's abject silliness, and then of course some very bad news if you're GameStop. Well, I mean, it depends on how you transition, how things transition for GameStop. Um, if things work out, you know, as far as their transition to being more of a collectibles place, which then this hurts you less. But the fact that Sony is pretty much dropping physical media. I mean, most of these companies have been, especially on the PC side, have been soft dropping physical media for a while now, where even the game disc that you get in a box just gives you a Steam code. It's not a real install, so I mean, there's that. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the GameStop stuff, other than Kevin Malone pretending that he was an OG shareholder, even though that he was most certainly not. um yeah, during the squeeze period, he was being evicted from his apartment for overdue rent. He had back taxes and was unemployed. So Kevin Malone, the grifter we know and love, and we'll probably be talking about as we go through more of the meme stock stuff, most definitely was not an OG GameStop person. Just gonna throw that out there. Anyway, so that is our first of the fun stuff knocked out, nice and easy. Now we go back from fun land into depression, mind sharing depression. So there's we'll skip over that. So there's been a whole lot of stuff that has been going on that we have not been able to talk about on Extra Extra, because there's just been so much meme stock shenanigans, especially when it came to Ryan Cohen stuff. The amount of government corruption currently going on in the federal government has been crazy, and I get it. Everyone has been on this, but it's hard to just not look away from how bad is. This one I didn't even really know about when it happened, because the one I was aware of was this one, the Adani case, because we had previously been following that for a while, and that those charges have been dropped. Apparently, Democrats in Congress, or senators and Democratic senators up on the Hill, are investigating it, to be determined if that goes anywhere. But this was this Abani Bonnie, I hope I'm saying that right, thing is completely different. An Indian billionaire was targeted by Trump, then he poured money into a startup secretly backed by Donald Trump Jr. Just okay. Just did, didn't we? Yeah. Well, this is really turning into an interesting live stream. I may just have to just deal with this and see if I can try again tonight, because this is ridiculous, or just kick it out to all right, are we connected? Are we good? We good? Anyway, so where were we? About another 600 million for World Liberty Fund, 65 million from selling equities. Which, is there a tab for that we talked? Yeah. Where was it? It's somewhere up here. I'm sure we'll get to it soon enough, of like the crazy amount of selling that happened a few months back. So, like, Donald Trump has been running an account, basically like your normal day trader, uh, you know, trading stocks all over the place, while currently being president of the United States. Totally not a conflict of interest. Don't look into that too hard. Um, but before we get to that, I just want to get kind of caught up on some of this stuff. So we already went over the Adani thing. Then, of course, there was at the beginning of last month, um, where the the criminal charges, the criminal investigation into coal companies for potential criminal violations was completely dropped. Criminal probe is significant years long effort to police serial pollution offenses by Virginia-based Southern Coal and dozens of affiliate mining operations controlled by the family. In the past decade, Southern Coal and other justice corporations have racked up tens of thousands of alleged violations of the Clean Water Act and have been sued reportedly by state and federal prosecutors over their failures to properly follow environmental laws at their mining sites. Awesome, because you just love dirty coal contaminating everything. I'm not the biggest fan of like the EPA and the Clean Water Act because it definitely gets abused for a lot of things. But like when you're dealing with a coal mining operation, and even state regulators are like, whoa, 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 whoa. And again, state regulators in Virginia are like, whoa, 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 bro, you're just like, how do you even like get around how bad that is? I'm confused. And of course, the most recent news from this week was that the DOJ dropped a probe into Abbott over the baby formula plant issues. Linked potentially deadly bacteria in infant deaths, opting instead for civil penalties. Closed the Michigan plant after investigators found traces of potentially deadly bacteria at the plant. The recall and the plant closures worsened the shortage. Abbott had said that at the time that there was no evidence linking the formula to these illnesses. No unopened distributed Abbott infant formulas have tested positive for bacteria that sicken the babies. Um, so they just, I guess, reduced those charges. So I'll see. Um, we're about to go ahead and get into all of the crypto shenanigans that are be going on, but I think this is a great way to intro
chain.
into this because boy, do we have gripes on this channel about the SEC and its huge lack of oversight when it comes to crypto or really a lot of things right now under this current administration. But let's let her rip.
Over the past year, we have moved purposefully to answer President Trump's call to make America the crypto capital of the world.
Yeah, by not prosecuting crypto fraudsters. That's the entire game plan. That has been the entire game plan at this point in time. To make, America the crypto capital of the world by making crime legal again, by making securities fraud legal again.
Through what we're calling Project Crypto, we are taking historic steps to modernize our rules and regulations to
by not enforcing them.
facilitate markets moving on chain. And after years of obscurity, we have delivered long called for certainty.
The obscurity. What is obscure about someone running a meme coin fucking pump and dump? Like person pumps and promotes a stock to like their followers and rugs them, like in the case of the Atlas crew, and anyone and everyone can tell that that's criminal securities fraud. But when you do it with a crypto meme coin, suddenly it's just fucking different, I guess.
To digital asset issuers so that investors and entrepreneurs today can know before they act whether a digital asset is considered a security and therefore subject to SEC oversight. To be clear, this is not a favor to industry. It's what
It
markets require
absolutely
to
is.
function.
Shut up. Shut up. It absolutely is. Yes, indeed, a rare daytime stream because I'm going to be tossing hay bales after dinner tonight, and I get the feeling I will not want to do jack shit or all after that. So, yes, daytime stream. Happy holidays.
Clear rules of the road applied without preference. But a
Sure.
modernized framework is only as
You keep telling yourself that, bro. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
valuable as to the clarity with which it is applied, thus the C for clarity. So, after years of fragmented oversight and overlapping authorities, the SEC and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission signed a historic memorandum of understanding between our two agencies, a framework for
To let people break the law. That is the understanding. Under Trump, they're going to let people break the law.
aligning key definitions,
Mm-hmm.
coordinating oversight, and replacing a regulatory no man's land between the two agencies with fertile new ground for innovation to grow.
Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah. Cool story, bro. Cool fucking story. We love Kyle a lot at the channel. That's not one to load in, so we'll just roll with this. This was in response to uh, Cash Patel talking about if crypto fraudsters have been scamming and taking advantage of American people for too long. Oh, I didn't want to click on the score there. I understand some people are into the FIFA Cup. I'm not right now though. No more. The FBI will find you unless you're Donald Trump. Oh, under the Trump playbook, the family always wins, investors don't. The U.S. president and sons have added at least $2.3 billion to the family fortune from their main crypto ventures, while the investors they have wooed have taken losses in the exact same amount. You know, most people, I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy here. Most people would call that a classic pump and dump rug pull, but I'm crazy. I'm a crazy person now. I am a crazy person. This one is pretty old. This was from back when they had the UFC event at the White House. I the cheek. The cheek of paying their bonuses in fucking Trump stablecoin. I uh I mm. I have literally no words for that. Um then of course, after that we got into the entire, chart of all the disclosures, which include his like pump and dump of several stocks, like say, bought 5 million in Axion before ICE sought a $220 million taser deal from that same company. Wow, that's weirdly convenient. Or how about, oh yeah, this was what we already knew from like the beginning of this month, where it's like in 3 months, in a 3 month period, from the beginning of this year, January to March, he had like 3,600 stock trades. Like, this is the stuff that's being reported now is all stuff from, ooh, well, I mean, technically it's not just stuff from last year, but it's like the whole kit and caboodle. So like we knew it was going to be bad. I don't think well, oh yeah, and before this event took place, he also, bought stock in the UFC's parent company, which, gosh, I know I should know, TKO, isn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the company name. And then of course, all during last year, during the AI bubble, was buying Broadcom, Meta, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, which Cash Patel was also getting on the action, failing to like disclose certain certain Bitcoin purchases he made. the charts are just where it really screw Axion and anyone who supports them. I'm not super familiar with Axion, but I assume that they make a lot of police equipment. I'm assuming tasers and all sorts of less than lethal munitions and things like that. I'm pretty sure I'm probably onto that one. Um, I I'm sure Axion would get a lot less heat if the people that they gave stuff to, um, phew, there's so much to get into there. Um, uh, they make a whole new diagnosis out of the whole cloth to cover up for Axion's. Oh, see, I had no idea about like so their tasers are not less than lethal. They're kind of are lethal. Okay. Um. Wow. Yikes. Hmm. Set phasers to stun, I guess. Yikes. Ooh. Close some of these tabs. They make tasers, body cams, pepper spray, and a bunch of other tools for ops. Yeah, so less than lethal and recording devices. Um, yeah, like I'm all for like trying to find ways to be less than lethal, especially how trigger happy some cops have proven themselves to be. And body cams for sure. Cool. Yeah, I definitely want to know what happens when we get into the situation where but like getting they call getting electrocuted people to death excited yeah, that is that is some that is some spin that might need to go back into the oven to bake a little bit more, because that's just there's not like, and again, I don't have the numbers in front of me to know how many, but like the fact that there is some in your advertising your product is a less than lethal means of resolving a situation, which is supposed to be better. It's sort of like how even if you get like hit by like say a beanbag round or like a pepper spray canister, that shit is like the wounds I've seen some people take from some of those are not like it, especially if the person firing the weapon is dumb and fires it like you're supposed to kind of center mass, so it's less likely to hurt someone. You got more body there to absorb it. But if you take one of those to the face, there's just no fixing the fact that it's going to do damage, and in some cases you might prefer to be dead. um yeah, like I I I I knew that there were like some issues with like tasers, but like I had that's a new level of just admit that the product is either not being used appropriately or fix the problem. Trying to suggest that it's it's not the taser's fault. It's the person that's being shot. That's bleak. Um, this chart kind of draws pretty big attention between Trump's first administration and his second one. We're like, okay, yeah, this is definitely out of line for even most presidencies, but this is craziness. Definitely have thoughts about them. I I would probably if I knew more about the situation, and like you said, like I bet you know more about what I'm talking about of like, I only see news reports. I don't see the day-to-day of what's going on. And again, the idea of less than lethal is like a good idea, but execution could be better. Not literal execution, but like delivery of product, doing what it says would be better if you could please. That yeah. Oh, I've got several. Like this is a finance channel. We've got a lot of graphs here. This one, I'll change the subject. Yeah, well, we're dealing with some grim stuff, but we'll work through it. Like remember how Nancy Pelosi was kind of the front of political corruption on DC when it comes to trading stocks on information that she may or may not have gotten from her job in DC? Oh, baby. She ain't got nothing on Donald's second term. We're only 2 years in, guys. We got another 2 years of this shit. Donald has done an order of magnitude, 2 orders of magnitude more trades than Nancy Pelosi has. During her entire time in office. Like, she has been in office as long as I have been alive. And in 2 years, Donald Trump's like, hold my beer. Watch this. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, this is just the crypto stuff alone. When a president of the United States, a sitting president of the United States, is profiting from his crypto shitcoin so well that he is beating literal crypto companies, is there even any words for it? Like, Coinbase brought in total earnings. Now, given Trump doesn't have to pay employees, he doesn't have, corporate expenses and things like that. So I'm Funky Soul Brother, you're starting to see why I do not stream during the day. Let's see if that DC'd our live stream on YouTube completely, or if it was saved. I'm gonna have to clean up so much on Twitch now, and I know that it's probably fucked over on Rumble too. But let's look at content. Let's see if it split up the live streams. It did not. Whoa. Not a total loss. Wow. Okay. Man, this is getting rough. Okay, so let's go. Coinbase. What was Coinbase's revenue last year? Annual. Okay, so still kind of crazy that you got Coinbase revenue here of Coinbase's revenue is 29. It's chopping in and out, but we're good for the moment. Okay, good. It's a little rough. The internet out here ain't great. It was actually down all yesterday. I should have known that this was my future. I think it's because I'm kind of out in the boonies here, and the internet is being pulled by everyone on 4th of July holiday, and it's not doing well. It's on the struggle bus. But yeah, you look at that, and it that kind of brings it into a different view. Like, I mean, you look at the revenue compared, but still, it's kind of ridiculous that a sitting president pulled in 1.4 billion in freaking crypto revenue. Yikes. That's all I can say. But we're not quite done with this part of the segment just yet. I know this is a beefy one. Afterwards, we're kind of doing back and forth, depressing, soul crushing things in the real world, and meme stock. Then more depressing, soul crushing things, and then another meme stock. We're gonna work through this together slowly but surely. There was a account covering all of this and all of Donald Trump's portfolio shenanigans and everything. And then Elon just decided, actually, we won't, and suspended the account. Of course, the wonderful free speech platform, doing free speech things. Just for us here, you viewers out there in the world know that X is not a free speech platform. If you've listened to our channel at any length, and the Christopher Stanley situation. let me make it perfectly clear. If you have an opinion that makes Elon's friends, Elon's fucking backwards ass employees, if any of these groups, the investors over at, XAI, any of them get ass hurt, you are gone. You will be silenced. And that's been clear since day one. X is not a free speech platform. Let's make that very fucking clear. Never has been, never was. Free speech absolutist. Yeah. Yeah. And then so he is now over on why am I blanking? Over on Substack. There, I'll just look at the URL since apparently my brain just died there for a second. He basically goes over getting kicked off of X. I love the whole getting kicked off for having an inauthentic account. Because again, going back to the Christopher Stanley thing, that was the reason Amy got kicked off, an inauthentic account. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love it. I love it. It DC'd right when I was getting up to like 6 viewers. It's great. It's great. Oh my goodness. This is frustrating to no end. Anyway, where was I? Yes. Inauthentic account is what they do when they have no real reason to get rid of you, but they need to shut you up because you're getting a little off message. Anyway. So this one I'm sure you will get well. I mean, let me make sure that he's still here. Who knows? Who knows with all the DCs? Trump's financial disclosures file this week show investment accounts traded shares in 2 private prison companies. Which ones? Oh, GEO. Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, look, I get prisons need supplies and things like that, and there needs to be companies that provide that. But, and here's the big but, even as a I cannot abide the idea of private prisons. Cannot, will not ever. I don't. So yeah, apparently he invested in Geo Group and CoreCivic, which is like the 2 big publicly traded private prison companies. Did we DC again? We DC'd again. We reconnected really fast though. Oh my goodness. It is getting really bad. I don't think I'm going to be able to play this this video, but hopefully I can get to where he talks about what the phone is, because I think we knew that it was some off-brand phone that got rebadged for the whole Trump thing. That was not new news. Yeah, the HTC U24, and he basically does an entire teardown, and they're point for point the same fucking phone. It's it's hilarious how cheeky it is. So it turned out Trump Mobile wasn't 100% a scam, but the marketing was definitely a fucking scam. All right. So now that we've got that out of the way, we're gonna switch back to meme stock land. Excuse me here while I get that put in. This will give me a time to cheekily move this over here so I can remove some of the stuff we already talked about. This is the one that I really wanted to talk about because this is silliness on so many levels. The whole GNS Genius Group situation this week was a flurry of activity in that legal hoedown. So for starters, at the beginning of the week, I thought that we were about to have some great news heading into the holiday weekend because um, they ended up dropping the lawsuit after. Okay, probably should lead back in. So if you were with us last time, you know that the motion to appoint Genius Group as lead plaintiff failed, and the court denied approval of restarting the lead plaintiff process, effectively killing dead Genius Group's attempt at a class action lawsuit. And that was the end of that. So a week later, or pretty much 2 weeks later, the 18th, June 18th. So there's no way they released that on a Saturday. Would have had to been the Friday before. So 2 weeks later, about called a week and a half. A week and a half later, Genius basically drops in the middle of this week that they are voluntarily dismissing the case and dropping it. But that wasn't the end of this. So after having been denied allowing to restart the lead plaintiff process, what does the same lawyers, Wes Christian and all of his cronies, do? They go and open up a new lawsuit in the Southern District of Florida. We'll let it load in here so I can show it. Oh yeah, the internet's really chugging. You go down here, it's the same lawyers. Kausowitz, Grant Eisenhofer, and Christian Adder, with James fucking piece of shit Christian leading the charge. So basically, after being told that they couldn't restart the class action process, by the judge, they dropped the case, and to do an end around the judge's order and decision in the case in the Southern District of New York, they close that case and start up a new one in the Southern District of Florida. Interesting decision. So naturally, Citadel and Virtue's lawyers craft a letter to the judge and basically say, hey, so you made this ruling and then basically warned about, second bites at the apple, and that's why you weren't, going to reopen the lead plaintiff process. Well, they dropped this case and then went running to the Southern District of Florida. So we would like the case reopened, pending a motion to transfer the Florida case back up here and deal with potentially merging the cases or whatever you want to do. And the judge approved and reopened the case in a memo order. Just right here. Application granted. The clerk is respectfully directed not to close the case until further notice. So the case was, technically, the judge is saying don't close the case, but it had already been closed. So technically reopened the case, but actually is to be treated as if it never closed to begin with. And of course, Genius's lawyers, Wes Christian and company, did not care very much for that. Did not care very much for that at all. Sent their own letter back that the action has already dismissed. Defendant cites no authority for keeping the docket open, but the judge, did it anyway. And there's plenty of authority on the matter, because the judge can do it sua sponte if they wanted to, but under Rule 20 you can get relief from a judgment order. The judge can, for grounds for relief from final judgment order or proceeding, on motion and just terms, the court may relieve a party or its legal representative from final judgment order proceedings for the following reasons: mistake, inadvertent surprise, or excusable neglect; newly discovered evidence that with reasonable diligence could have been discovered; fraud, whether previously called intrinsic or extrinsic; misrepresentation or misconduct by an opposing party. Ooh, that's going to be really important. I'd love to see a get together between Wes Christian and Jonathan Lee Ritchie's. They could put together a kook suit that would implode the multiverse. I'm not familiar with this guy. I'm gonna have to go. We're doing some improv research here. I've never heard of this guy. Oh, when Google pops up with the first line being he's a convicted fraudster. Mwah. Filed over 2,600 lawsuits, some which received considerable press attention among his famous defendants, the New England Patriots, George Bush. Most prolific pro se filer in U.S. history. Jesus was incarcerated in Federal Medical Center, Kentucky for wire fraud. Under the terms of the plea agreement, his release date was April 2012. He was arrested for violating his federal probation in December 2012. When he left the Eastern District of the state of Pennsylvania without permission, he drove to Connecticut and impersonated the uncle of... Whew. We find the best characters, only the best characters on this show. Only the best. I'm sure they could, because, I mean, what was it? The Forbes article dug up something that I didn't even realize about Wes Christian, that he's basically Q-pilled. So that really explains a lot about Wes Christian, that he's, in the QAnon universe. Really helps you understand his motives and his personal brain trust that goes on in his head. But where were we? Yeah, so like Rule 20, even though they didn't ask directly for Rule 20 relief, a court could grant it, and a court can grant it sua sponte. So, I probably should hold up. For people who are not familiar with legal terms, sua sponte means that a judge can just do it without a motion. Which is what happened in the Trump v. Internal Revenue Services situation. So he's like, I'm not surprised, but like, I'm not surprised, but like, just where, Trump tried to do a corrupt deal with himself by being on both sides of the process, tried to to voluntarily dismiss the case and settle, so that way he could start up a fund for him and his cronies to pay out for the government being used to attack people, and make sure that Trump can't ever be sued by the IRS, nor can the rest of his family. And Rule 60 is basically what the judge invoked to block that settlement. And so, yeah, that's likely what's going to happen here. Basically, that the judgment is void. I've also done some lookup on this because, me, I do plenty of research. The Supreme Court ruling of Watzig v. Halliburton basically lays out that a Rule 41 voluntary dismissal is considered final judgment, which means that it triggers Rule 60 if the court so wanted to go for it. So basically, even though that they said that, hey, this is a Rule 41 dismissal, you can't reopen the case. Actually, the judge can void it under Rule 60. That's the Supreme Court talking to you, just for the record. And then of course we get stuff like Samake versus Thunderlube, where basically a plaintiff trying to drop a case using Rule 41 to escape getting sanctioned or other rulings of the court doesn't fly, and that the court can, even though you dropped the case via Rule 41, does not stop you from getting sanctioned, does not stop you from being under the thumb of the court, and having its rules applied. And also, just for the record, like the Southern District of Florida, there's multiple ways they could go about it. They could transfer it. You know, I'm not a lawyer, but if I would imagine, if I had to guess what's going through Citadel's lawyers as to that case, my thinking would be motion to dismiss because of res judicata. Like the court already made a judgment that, you know, that Citadel, that in the other case in the Southern District of New York, that, you know, Genius Group couldn't reopen the plaintiff process, and that this is just an end round around that judgment that was already made by the court, that they couldn't reopen the process. So res judicata, they cannot reopen the process using a new lawsuit. It'd be one thing if this person had different lawyers or a different law firm, or, you know, like this was wholly a different case with different facts, or, you know, roughly the same facts, but it was a different law firm, that, you know, could have accidentally come about. But it's the same three fucking law firms bringing the naughty. I should not have opened that docket. I should have known that my internet was gonna have fucking none of that. Don't you dare. That PDF is too large for you. But like, you could go through this whole document and see, like, they redline all of the changes, and fundamentally, aside from a few things that have been removed and inserted, these are the same documents. Like, the petition in the Southern District of Florida is more or less the same fucking lawsuit as the one that was brought in the Southern District of New York. There are no real material changes, even the same fucking charts. Okay, they changed one of the charts. Actually, they didn't change it. Like, that is the same. Oh my god, they're using Oratex. Thunder Lube. There's a joke in there that I ain't even gonna tell. So, like, this is the same case. This is literally the same case. I just so, like, so they're the same case fundamentally. So you can't make sure there isn't any new things here. Yeah. So this is all the other stuff. See, like, so this issue has already been handled. So in my mind, there's like two ways to handle it. You know, motion to dismiss. They were already told by the Southern District of New York not to do this. They went, dismissed the case, started this new one. This has already been adjudicated. Maybe not the merits have been adjudicated, but like, this is the same lawyers with the same case, after being told, no, you can't reapply for a class action, went to a different court and did it anyway. This has already been adjudicated. Dismiss this case. Or in the alternative, send it back to the Southern District of New York where it belongs, because like, this is absolute gamesmanship ridiculousness. They're basically trying to get a second bite at the apple when they don't deserve it. Speaking of people who don't deserve things, Kevin Malone does not deserve to be taken seriously. 1 year ago. Thank you for the opportunity, Roger. Wish I could help again. Yeah, well, probably can't help again because, I mean, normally I would say maybe the SEC is breathing down his neck about, you know, the literal security fraud he did last year, but I have to keep in mind what administration this is, and they ain't fucking doing shit. Let's be honest here. Kevin Malone is building a new house outside of Boise, Idaho, and he'll enjoy his McMansion that he made at the expense of stealing other people's fucking money. And he'll get away with it, probably. Sadly. I'd like to believe not, but you know, just the times we're living in. Also, oh my goodness, you cannot see that at all. What if I saved this image? Hopefully it won't crash the internet doing it. And I reopened it. Nope, that's not how I wanted to reopen it. What if I... Well, actually, that might work. Reopen that. Aha! This filing is basically not a new filing, but it's basically stating that the original one was subject to completion, but now that the warrants have been approved, that this dilution is good to go. This 2,000 shares, or 2,000. What am I talking about? 2 million shares. Jeez, I don't know where the 2,000 came up. There's a lot more shares, but basically related to the warrants. They got to have those to be able to fulfill the warrant obligations. Speaking of which, how is GNS doing right now? GNS must be doing so fucking stellar, like knocking it off barn burners. Please, someone figure out what is the price of GNS? Oh, GNS is not looking like it's doing too good right now. Not looking like it's doing too good. 19 cents. Let's round it up. We'll call it 20 cents for them. We'll call it 20 cents just so they can feel good about themselves. Feel good about themselves. Anyway. Well, back to the depression hole. At least I got something funny to start things off. Some of you may have seen the short already about this, so you know that this is going to be funny as funny can get. Watch Fishback attempt to interrupt iShow Speed stream and ask if he's voting for him. I was told by someone on TikTok that Speed actually lives up in Iowa, so he couldn't vote for Fishback even if he wanted to, which makes this scene even more funny.
Are you voting for me?
Huh?
Are you voting for me?
Voting for you.
August 18th, running for governor.
August 18th?
Yeah.
You are? We are.
Look, he's trying to get to the soccer game down there at Hard Rock Stadium. And James Fishback just I like to think part of it is he was already canvassing, the stadium. I mean, if you're running for governor and you're personally canvassing a stadium, wow. You got some problems with not having enough campaign staffers. I mean, sure, doing some events is good and, maybe things like that, but trying to do door to door when you're running a statewide race is, I don't know, that's kind of crazy, man. That's kind of crazy. But anyway, I can almost, like, deep down in my heart, I can't prove it, but I can almost 100% believe that he had someone watching the stream so that he could line up for that exact moment, only to get pretty much brushed off like a nobody, like the nobody he is. Like, what were you thinking, bro? I don't even know. Before we get into some of the legal troubles that Fishback has gotten himself into, he did, I don't know if I don't think I covered it last week, but he does have a lieutenant governor candidate, this Sean Lozarno. Pretty sure it's Lozarno. As you can tell, I'm really great with names, especially when they're last names. But we got a lot of information. Man, we have not had to deal with this since we were talking about Chris Soy. Even my internet was like, you get rid of those tweets. That's a new low. Yeah, and it just keeps going. Um, just keeps going. But yeah, this is if you want to find this one, this is basically a list of a whole bunch of stuff that Fishbacks. Oh, and by the way, this is also this Lieutenant Governor guy. There he is, right there. You can even do the face check to make sure. Remember the guy who basically, after James Fishback said that dude bro here should have been lynched, was trying to tell him to go away, and that he was a police officer and that he should, I'm a state certified law enforcement officer. You need to leave. Well, I mean, he isn't a police officer anymore. But yeah, that's Fishback's new lieutenant governor. Awesome. Glad to make that pair up that he was there for the moment when James Fishback said that a black man should be lynched. That's real great for your campaign. Definitely going places. So at about this time is when news broke that Jake Collins had filed a lawsuit against, technically in the official capacity, the Florida Secretary of State, to basically block James Fishback from being able to run for governor of Florida because he was a resident of DC at the time. And the evidence that Jay cites is, of course, the stuff that we've talked about on this show already. The voter rolls and registration in DC, where he voted in DC and considered DC his residence. And of course, the homestead tax exemptions that he took for several years in DC on the home that he owned in DC. We knew this was coming at some point. Now, of course, Fishback has his conspiracy theories as to why this happened, but apparently is dropping his driver's license as proof. Alrighty. You kind of have to look, where were we? Yeah. You kind of have to look in aggregate at the entirety of it to determine what residency is. You can't look at just one item, so we'll see how it goes, but I doubt you very much that driver's license is going to do much. I'm not going to download it. At some point, I should have downloaded it beforehand, but now that I didn't, I'll do it later. But yeah, Fishback has responded to it. In lieu of that, we do have some Fishback-based videos where,
If Jay Collins wants to be the governor, he can.
where we're gonna get some real good Fishback-isms about how much of a clown he is. I cannot wait. This should be good. This should absolutely be good.
I don't think Jay Collins genuinely believes he could win, because if he did, he would have spent yesterday campaigning in the Keys with me, as opposed to rudely interrupting my campaign speech to hand me this frivolous lawsuit.
I don't call it frivolous, but I mean, dude has a point. Like, James Fishback polls roughly in about the same place that Jay Collins does, and that's why Jay is doing this lawsuit. I had already discussed previously that the reason why I don't like with media mainstream on X, the reason why this lawsuit had not happened yet was because Byron Donalds doesn't need to do it. He's so far ahead that it really won't matter. He's probably going to win the race. That, like, if he is competitive, then sure, file the lawsuit after the fact if that by some miracle happens. But wasting resources on it makes absolutely no sense. It makes perfect sense for Jay Collins to do it, though. Jay is scraping for the bottom of the barrel for the millimeters of voter, for like the little bit of voters that they can get to try and get competitive. And Fishback and him have about the same votes. So if he can get Fishback out of the way, potentially he can steal voters that would have voted for Fishback for his campaign and at least try to be more competitive, which is why he filed this lawsuit. it doesn't make any sense for anyone else to do it. And he's going to get into how he thinks that Byron put Jay Collins up to it when, Occam's razor, any level of understanding would know that Jay filed it for Jay's reasons and Jay's reasons alone, that you're in his way and you both are fighting for the literal bottom of the barrel in the Republican primary. So yeah, he's going to come after you.
If Jay Collins wants to be the governor, he can just run and try to be the governor and convince the will of the voters, convince the voters to trust him. Remember, Ron DeSantis hired him to do a job in August of last year. Ron DeSantis wants nothing to do with Jay Collins. That's why he's refused to endorse him, refused to speak positively about him publicly. He wants nothing to do with the guy. It's okay. I understand Governor DeSantis' position. As a business owner, I've also made bad hires in my life. People that
That's a business owner. I'm sure Greenback would love to hear that. Hey, James, what business is it that you own again? What business? It would have been better if he said as a former business owner, but no, he said as a business owner. I thought you didn't run Azora Capital anymore. Wasn't that your last filings in front of the the Middle District of Florida on your whole like green light thing where they're trying to collect monies that you owed them? He just is so great at putting his foot in his fucking mouth.
I let go or let them slowly quit over time, and that's exactly what the governor is doing. If the guy who hired you will not endorse you, that is the clearest sign yet.
You've never had that position. You barely had a handful of employees in your employ. The idea that he has any professional experience about that is laughable on so many levels.
That the people of Florida want nothing to do with you, and that's exactly what the polls show. But I'm not going to punch down on Jay.
I mean, that could be said about you too, but
literally or figuratively, he's quite short. I'm going to focus on my race, and my race is to convince voters that we have the best plan to bring down sky-high insurance rates, eliminate their property taxes, protect public education and universal school choice, and protect all the text messages, Byron and Jay, all the emails, all the call logs between your two campaigns. Our team, led by a brilliant constitutional lawyer, will demand that the judge in Tallahassee force Byron Donalds and Jay Collins to turn over all their communications, because guess what? We are going to find out what we have all long known, that those two have been colluding and collaborating to stop us from the ballot because we are the anti-establishment ticket.
That's not going to happen. I can guarantee that will never happen, because look, the discovery has to be reasonably related to the claims, the claims and defenses in the litigation. It's irrelevant to if Fishback is a resident of the state of Florida or a resident of the state of DC to get those communications. It is absolutely irrelevant. So when he's talking about how he's going to get these communications, and Buddy over here is like, also discovery's a bitch, he's not getting this discovery because it has nothing to do with the claims or defenses. Byron and Jay could be colluding. That could be an indisputable fact that we all know, and it wouldn't fucking matter. It would not matter at all, because it's not relevant to whether Fishback is a resident of the state of Florida or not, which is the matter at contention in the lawsuit. So, like, this sort of posturing is just James Fishback in a nutshell. This one is also particularly hilarious. Wait, is this okay? It's the same shot, different camera angle, I guess. I don't know.
For 8 years to come. Thank you very much. Happy to take any questions.
So the lawsuit said,
I'm glad. See, this is what should have happened with the whole MMTLP press conference that Pizzagate Ann was hosting. Like, you got to have plants. This is obviously someone from Fishback's campaign with a handheld camera asking questions, because no press person is going to show up and pretend even for a second, to give a shit.
Says that you voted in DC and that you took a homestead property exemption in DC. Will you touch on that?
I will. So the homestead property exemption was actually corrected. The District of Columbia said on April 23rd of this year that homestead exemption was erroneously and improperly applied. I agree. The District of Columbia, where I own a small apartment,
That isn't how that works, and isn't what happened. Like, dude, like, you have to actually apply for that. As is pointed out here, requires homeowners to apply for the Homestead Act, and he applied from 2021 to 2025. In April 2026, DC issued a corrected tax bill, removing it and reassessed back to 2023. He claimed it, and he got caught. So basically, he applied for it, he got it, but because, if you also remember, this is exactly another thing that we talked. And because all right, so it crashed. Hopefully we're back. Anyway, where was I? Yes. So those things cannot both be true at the same time. James Fishback had the property in Florida that he owned and told a loan officer was his primary residence for the purposes of the loan that he took out. At the same time, he was telling tax officials in DC that the DC home was his primary residence so he could get the homestead tax credit. When the news came out that about his mortgage in Florida through the Greenlight lawsuit, DC reassessed his taxes and made him repay the back taxes from 2025 all the way back to 2023. It has nothing to do with it being wrong. Like that oops, boo-boo, that was DC's decision. No, that was James Fishback getting called out for what we had previously said on a previous extra, that either James Fishback was committing mortgage fraud or he's committing tax fraud. Pick one. And in this case, the reassessment of those taxes from DC proves that the case that ended up being true was that, more or less, DC's reassessment is that he committed tax fraud. And to avoid being, charged with tax fraud, it was reassessed and he basically paid the back taxes. So it's not DC saying, oops, he didn't file, that was our bad. It was, you broke the law, pay us the money you owe us. So that's what that entire situation was. This is just a rehash of the whole like business owner thing where he's saying he's a business owner. I'm sure Greenlight would like to know what business it is that he owns. The only updates we have in the Greenlight case right now for him is that there are no updates. Sadly enough, he's not responded to the order that was handed down asking for him to produce documents related to his fancy watch and his luxury item purchases that was due on the 18th. And then by the end of the month, he was also supposed to respond to the motion to compel at docket ID 90, which is this one right here. He's responded to neither one of them, which now means that we go back. We got the motion to compel, so now we're back to the show cause land. So I'm sure the court will probably soon enough be yanking James Fishback back in on another show cause order. Mere not even a month, was it? The 2 months after the last show cause. Okay, deferred, yeah. So a month since the last show cause and motion to compel. Fun times. I cannot wait. I'm sure it will be great. James Fishback continuing to find new and exciting ways to just
James Fishback continue.
cause problems for himself as he normally does. Change things over here on. Oh, I could change it right there without. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, back to talking about meme stocks again. Now that we got James Fishback out of the way, I think that covers most of the political stuff we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to take that tag off on Twitch, and we'll go to just chatting. I got to clear out all this Genius Group stuff. What was the next thing we were going to talk about? Yeah, we already covered that. We covered that. Oh, I missed that when we were talking about the GNS stuff. Well, we went over it last show anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. Metamaterial stuff. Some new stuff coming up out of the Metamaterials bankruptcy. Yay! And the stream would probably be doing a lot better if it would stop DCing. Oh well. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing some mad resplicing of this. We'll see. So the Metamaterials bankruptcy, we got some new updates. A lot of it having to deal with Scott Trout trying to get information out of the court about stuff because, to be quite honest, there's some stinkers going on in this courtroom. The most recent filings was a supplemental Rule 2014 disclosure from Wes Christian. Hopefully that doesn't crash the stream. That would be really disappointing. Where he basically talks about his past history with Metamaterials and with Nextbridge, the artist formerly known as Torchlight Energy. He says he's not a creditor of Meta, which is really interesting because it had been my understanding that because of his previous activities that they owed him money, but I guess he was paid back. That's an interesting disclosure that I'll have to look into more later. I can't really attest one way or the other. I have to go back through the bankruptcy filings to find that, but we'll look into that. On January 10th, 2023, my law firm, Christian Levine Group, and Christian Levine Group, and teamed up with Warshaw Bernstein to represent a group of investors in Nextbridge hydrocarbons. The Nextbridge Investor Group formed an entity, Flamethrower LLC, which I'm sure if you've been following the story for a long time, you well know about that, which had a war chest of cash. The investigation included a review of potential issues, including jurisdiction and venue, claims of relief, and suspected trading days activities. After consulting DTCC records and correspondences to FINRA, at the conclusion of the investigation, Christian Levine and Warshaw Bernstein determined that evidence was insufficient to file Section 10b5 claims of the Securities Act. Whoopsies. Dealing with Nextbridge and MMTLP. Oopsies. That's the section I ended up posting to X because it's kind of hilarious that once again, even more proof that the real criminals in the whole Nextbridge situation and MMTLP are the executives. Like, the people that the SEC is currently investigating and suing are the people who screwed people. Like, when even the clown shoes ambulance chasing lawyer can't find claims to manufacture one of his shitty fucking lawsuits, you know that the evidence is running pretty thin. So there's that. So instead, what he did was he did investigations for Metamaterials. There was a due diligence package that was provided. However, Meta Management declined to pursue the matter further. Got a footnote here. Okay, that. He was not told why. However, it is apparent by the fact that Christian Adder and other firms were working diligently despite the efforts to block the Rule 2004 discovery to determine whether Tristan had viable claims. Like the reason people were blocking 2004 discovery is because you're using the bankruptcy as an end run around the normal discovery process. If you had viable claims, just bring them. You admit that there was viable claims and that this 2004 discovery wasn't necessary. You were just trying to game the bankruptcy system to get extra discovery. That's exactly what that was. And it probably did not work to the extent that you thought it would, because, again, the FINRA 2004 discovery was pretty much stuff that you could have already gotten. And the stuff that would have fallen under the SLURA stuff, you were denied. So, I guess six of one, half dozen of the other on that. But and then he was hired again by Nextbridge to perform due diligence and openly file a lawsuit about tortious interference, and that's the lawsuit against the frivolous lawsuit against Jeff Davies, the slap lawsuit that, oh, God forbid, a whistleblower reports on the skeezy activities of the company, and so we're going to target him with our scuzzy fucking lawyer for the purposes of punishing someone doing legitimate investigation into our scam company. So that's the entirety of the disclosures that he produced. And then we got one from Christine Lovato, which I think is a little bit more damning to this whole endeavor. Now, why, you might say? I'm trying to avoid the blatant, unevidenced suggestion that Christine Lovato is not doing her job. But when you say something like this, I really, it strains credulity to say something like, based upon numerous meetings and communications with my general counsel and litigation counsel, including Mr. Christian, I do not believe Mr. Christian or Christian Adholder holds an interest adverse to the Meta estate. I cannot buy that. I cannot buy that, because when the court asked for public disclosure being produced on the docket as to the third-party financing that that Wes Christian was bringing, it got pulled because they didn't want open transparency in front of the bankruptcy court for all of us to see. Does that not seem a little suspicious to you? Does that not seem kind of fucking scuzzy? Does it not raise some questions if Wes Christian and his, third-party financiers are gaming this bankruptcy for their own benefit and not the benefit of the estate? Are we fucking serious here? I don't even like this. There's no way you can square that decision and say something like this without at least spending some time talking about that situation. I cannot let that go. It is so blatant and so obvious that certain elements of this are for the personal aggrandizement of Christian Adholder and its fucking financiers instead of the bankruptcy estate. And the fact that the U.S. trustee won't even give us, 5 fucking sentences dealing with that concern is ridiculous. At least in my mind, it is absolutely ridiculous. Speaking on a parallel thing, this is kind of a side journey funniness. This is quasi meta MMTLP related because of, as you know, Cynthia West and her entire thing. So this is some skeezy ass fucking Fox News reporter. What's his name? Oh, Nicholas Balsey. Is that really his? Balazi. Okay. He basically confronts Thomas Massey, and we get an exchange that is absolutely hilarious. Okay, we're gonna go with this one because this gives us the side by side between the two videos taken. The one taken by Nicholas and then the one taken by Massey. Nicholas's is on the left, Massey's is on the right. Let's go. Let's make this happen.
To clear up the stuff your ex is saying about you with the NDA, that you pressured her to sign an NDA for wrongful termination. What is that true? What she's saying about you?
Who are you with?
With Fox Digital.
It's all false.
And what she said about you and Bobert having an intimate relationship.
It's all false.
Why do you think she's out there saying it? Was it because
she's an attention whore? Like, I don't know how many ways to split this apple on this, but like Cynthia West is a meme stock grifter who became a political grifter so that she could get attention. So that way she can like get out and, you know, personally gain for her own personal interest. Like anyone with an IQ score above room temperature could identify that. What happened? Depends what thing here. What we're talking about is tangentially meme stock stuff here with the whole scandal around Cynthia West and some Fox News reporter confronting Thomas Massey that's about to have a funny turnaround. But there's also been a lot of DCs, so there's been a lot of stuff happening. Hopefully this is still just one live stream, not like 40 bazillion different live streams on YouTube. But that's what's going on right now. I only have this here because I find it to be pretty freaking funny that how this goes down.
of the primary, ahead of the primary? What do you think is motivating it?
When did you all become a tabloid? Seriously.
I mean, fair question.
Well, no, I just thought I would give you a chance to respond because you've never been able to tell your side of the story, that's all. But anything you could say.
So let me ask you. I heard that you like gay porn. Is that true?
The look on his face, like, bro, just say no. Don't roll your eyes or anything. Just fucking say no. Like, I also kind of find it just a tinge funny because, you know, Thomas, like, if I had to be in Thomas Massey's shoes right now, I would have to think that the reason he's saying this is just to say it to pull his fucking leg because he just got through calling him like a tabloid journalist. And so he's playing the tabloid journalist game of just saying something sensational to fucking get at him. And the way he responds is just ridiculous.
I just want to give you a chance, your side.
I'm giving you a chance to give me your side.
I'm not going to get into
Are you a real news organization or not? No, come back, man. All you got to say is you don't like it, that you haven't been to those websites.
Of course
All right.
Of course I don't like it.
Really?
But thank you.
That's not what I heard.
Thank you for your time.
Look, don't fucking do it like an interview like that unless you're ready to just Oh my goodness. That was good for a couple laughs at least. Oh my goodness. We do have also a new NextBridge FAQ. Oh, come on. Load it up. Come on. There we go. Now we're going to crash. Which is basically just going over the dividend they plan to distribute, yet every baggie on the face of the earth is treating it like, oh my goodness, they're forcing them to, let's see if the brokerages actually have enough shares. They do. And even if you hold shares beneficially because you have share borrowing activated, if there were no shares that you would receive, then you would just get paid cash in lieu whenever this thing decides to start trading again, which best of fucking luck to you. But like this whole situation about, oh, they're going to expose them. They're going to, it's silly. This is the same stuff we've been going over for the past, 4 years now, and these people still haven't learned. Well, it'll be 4 years this December. Yeah, this December. So 3.5 years. And they just keep rinse and repeating the same shit as if it's new again, and it's just not. This one's really funny because this is Junk Savvy having to finally admit that the whole shorts can't exist in a private company is actually not true, because NextBridge is not actually a private company. And no matter which way she tries to slice this lie, it don't work like that. It's always funny when these grifters have to admit that their lies are wrong.
Basically have to liquidate positions because of the privatized status.
Well, that's a point, Matt. TradeStation says, well, they're a private company. They're public reporting. They're public reporting, which makes them a public company according to the SEC, right? And guys, I know we've argued the whole time, you can't have short positions in a private company. Let it go, guys. Until it goes to court and it's hashed out in court, NextBridge is still registered.
That is indeed how that goes. Yeah, I'm really digging all these DCs that could stop. This is the last one on this one before we move to our next. Drew Diligence, man, Drew Dipshit. It's been a while since we talked about Drew Dipshit on the show. What a loser in life with a lame ass gotcha screenshot. Johnny was barred for something minimal. I looked into it. 11 unauthorized trades across 3 customer accounts. Way to minimize someone basically having their account accessed without their permission. Great start. Dog shit. There were no criminal charges, just a regulatory slap. A regulatory slap. He was barred. His license was taken. Anyway. Where were we? Yes. Basically, Donahue George got an ethics complaint, an ethics hearing on it. He didn't show up for it, and his license got pulled permanently. He cannot get his license to practice law back. That's basically what happened with Johnny Tobacco. That's why he cannot practice in security markets anymore, Drew Dipshit. It would have been a slap on the wrist if he had actually shown up and actually done what he was supposed to and explain himself and all of that, but he chose not to do that. Therefore, he's barred from security markets. In other words, he knew he was guilty of what he did, and instead of owning up to that and fixing the situation, he fucked off. I guess it worked out for him anyway, because, some of these news outlets will hire just about any bum off the fucking street. So long as they have the right opinions, and Johnny Tobacco is one of those people. So his life is setting pretty and setting just fine, and he won't ever have to worry about that. All right. Let me see if there was anything here that I wanted to really get to on the depressing side of things. Yes. I'm still kind of following, even though I haven't been talking about it, as one of the M&A things that I've been following is the Paramount Warner Brothers situation, which seems to be still pretty highly in flux as of right now. The whole Warner Brothers situation, as of the beginning of the month, was that the Justice Department had approved it. So they're not going to bring charges as far as Paramount Discovery. But what we had also learned was that some of the states may bring regulatory action. So that's the stuff we knew up to this point, that basically the Warner Brothers deal is not out of the woods yet. Then we basically got word that some Democratic senators are pushing the FCC to step in and stop the deal. Which was then followed up with the FCC chairman saying he's waiting for a joint federal committee called Team Telecom. I've never heard of that before, but that's interesting, to weigh in on the Paramount proposed acquisition of Warner Brother before the agency makes its own final decision. So that is also some time down the road on the way. In the meantime, as far as European markets are concerned, because since Paramount and Warner Brothers does business in certain other countries, they are still subject to those laws. So basically, the deal with a joint venture between Paramount and Universal is going to end so that they can get European approval for the Warner Brothers Paramount merger to go through. So there's that currently going on. Been sort of lightly following the civil antitrust lawsuit that's currently going on. That's currently at the motion to dismiss stage. Paramount has filed for the motion to dismiss. We've had briefing from both sides. The reply in opposition, I believe that Paramount, I don't know if Paramount has responded yet, but they haven't. Here's the motion to dismiss, opposition response, and there's the reply in support. Okay, so we're fully briefed on the motion to dismiss. So who knows when the judge will be getting to that? I'm sure it'll be no time soon. We also, way in the way back, got news that OpenAI is planning to IPO with a really, really bad income statement. So that'll be it for the mainstream stuff. I can tell already that this signal is probably not going to last much longer. So what I'm going to do is we're going to skip. Actually, we'll probably just save the Brent stuff for later. Well, an actual live stream. Yeah. Given how crazy this stream has been, trying to hold it together, I think this is a good time as any to call it. I think I covered most of the backlog stuff that I hadn't gotten to, and most of the stuff I wanted to. I think I may just save the Brent stuff for an actual Real Boy live stream, because I don't want it to be crashing in the middle of trying to discuss it. So I think that's where we'll stop.